So I've been teaching quite long courses, actually. I teach for a college, and I finished in December. I finished one that was 14 weeks long for an hour each week. And now I'm doing an 11-week one. And the thing that I find quite difficult is that a lot of the students struggle with, what do I practice and when? It's kind of that they kind of want to find more structure, because I think they find there's so many different meditations that they're learning. They can sometimes get confused. What should I do as a regular practice? And I struggle with that myself. I think because I came from a very traditional background when I started meditation, where came from the yoga tradition. I was focusing on mantra. And then when I studied Buddhism, it was very much focusing on the breath, doing the concentration type meditation. And then I opened up to other practices. So I think, as beginners, sometimes I kind of, I kind of suggest working with one particular meditation over a period of time and bringing certain elements from the other meditation into their everyday life. And that's kind of how I've said it at the moment. And a lot of people say the body scan. I love the body scan, and they kind of tend to stick with that. And I feel like it's almost like they fall in the trap of, oh, I like this meditation, so I'm going to do this meditation because this really relaxes me, which is great. But I feel like sometimes they avoid certain meditations because they might be a bit more difficult. So it's hard to kind of encourage them sometimes to do the more difficult ones. It's like, oh, I found the body scan and this is really good for me, and I'm going to stick with that. So I don't know if there's any suggestions around kind of how to give people some structure in how they practice and bring more mindfulness into their life.
Yeah. So with all those classes you're teaching, are those all mindfulness classes?
The course is called Meditation and Mindfulness, but I've pretty much stuck with mindfulness meditation because it's what people tend to come for, because they see the word mindfulness and that's what attracts them. So that's what I've stuck with. So
Great. Good for you, and congratulations on
thank you.
teaching so much. That's wonderful. It's a great question. There's different ways of going about this. One way that I'm fond of is from the perspective of like what I call the three centers. So head, heart, body. I mean, the head and the heart are part of the body, but like I tend to think of it as like, well, so which of the three centers maybe could use a little bit more attention or balance? So some people are, you can kind of tell, are very head-based. They're thinking and analyzing and they're kind of like up in their head quite a bit. Some people may be very heart-centered and, maybe very emotional or very loving or very sometimes attached. Like there's like a strong heart quality to it. And then sometimes people are just very grounded, centered. A lot of people who do a lot of yoga are maybe a little bit more somatic than others. So I'm giving a lot of broad brush generalizations here, but oftentimes you can sense like maybe an area of overactivation or strength or challenge, or one of those centers is offline a little bit. Maybe there's a center that needs healing. whether it's injury or grief or anger, where the injury would be somatic, grief would be heart, anger would be head. So kind of sensing into the energy of the three centers. And then, sometimes just using your gut or intuition on what kind of practice may be useful for this person right now. Which kind of practice would be useful for me in this moment? That's how I tend to practice myself. So sometimes I may have a conversation an hour before the meditation, which leads me to think, I could probably do a forgiveness meditation right now. Or maybe I've been working too much. Maybe a body scan would be good to reconnect with the body and just sense into the body as a whole and in different parts. Maybe there's just been kind of a lot going on. Maybe there's some confusion. Maybe there's scatteredness. Yeah, maybe some form of concentration practice would be useful. So that's one lens we can look at what kinds of practices may be useful, whether it's on a session by session basis or a week by week basis. That's one lens you can look at it. Another lens is, kind of stemming from how a lot of Buddhists, and it sounds like you have some practice with Buddhism, like of just looking at the 5 hindrances, like what's hindering my presence right now? Which of the 5 hindrances are present? And maybe all 5 of them are here, or maybe like half of one is here. But regardless, sensing into a hindrance and then working with the hindrance based on what are often called like antidotes to each hindrance. So, if anger is present, then loving kindness. Restlessness, I'd probably go for a body scan or breathing, or mindful walking. So, looking at the lens of the 5 hindrances, 3 centers, as I think this is what you're saying, that like sometimes we'll, like even in one meditation, we'll have a few different things going on. Like, a lot of my guided meditations are like, okay, grounding in the body, tending to the breath, then maybe segueing into self-compassion or forgiveness or, some heart quality, or maybe it's a concentration practice, and then capping it off with regrounding or an intention. But like each meditation can include 4 or 5 different modalities. If they're like sequenced kind of logically, like a yoga routine, sequencing matters. So and then there's the question of, well, do I stick with one for quite a while over weeks or months, or do I keep doing one-offs every day? And I don't know that there's a wrong or right answer here, but I think it is helpful to practice a style of meditation quite a bit to deepen the experience of it, to deepen the subtlety and the nuance and the benefits that happen by going deeper with one style of practice for a while. And then maybe going into another style for a while later. A lot of retreats are based on topics or themes or a certain subset of practices for this reason. You know, we'll go deeper with this one area of experience, and we might use one meditation or two or three, but the point is to go deeper in this one thing, and that has huge benefit. But if people feel like kind of choosing the meditation of the day based on the flavor of the moment, then there's nothing wrong with that. And within the context, knowing that if we really want to go deeper with this style of meditation, that it does take frequency as well as duration of each sit too. I've coached a lot of people one-on-one, and kind of the one practice that seems to be near the core of what most people need, in my experience, is self-compassion. And so if I I think that if you're not sure what to practice, maybe have self-compassion as a default. All the practices are valuable. And it seems that a lot of people kind of at their core could use more self-compassion. So, not a bad default. It's also a practice that a lot of people don't want to do. But that's kind of correlated to why they need it. Is that helpful?
Very helpful. Yeah. Thank you.